that show me subscribe.
Make no mistake, we're the only black people and y'all the only eat rat, eat cat people. You ain't black, you ain't that. Matter of fact, your black is repo, I'm taking it back. Cause y'all making it whack, faking jacks, y'all from the slave, raiding the tax. Bitch, we built the foundation, our innovations were groundbreaking. Y'all ain't wanna get down, now you're around, hating, faking, with the lineage in and out, the ground shaking. Someone say, FBI, we don't run away. We stay, we slay, we pray, we say, Someone say, FBI, we don't run away. We stay, we slay, we pray, we say, Make no mistake, we're the only black people and y'all the only eat rat, eat cat people. You ain't black, you ain't that. Matter of fact, your black is repo, I'm taking it back. Cause y'all making it whack, faking jacks, y'all from the slave, raiding the tax. Breaks, pause, pause. We built the foundation, our innovations were groundbreaking. Y'all ain't wanna get down, now you're around, hating, faking, with the lineage eating, now the ground shaking. Someone say, FBA, we don't run away. We stay, we slay, we pray, we say, Someone say, FBA, we don't run away. We stay, we slay, we pray, we say,
Hey, you know, peace to the fam. Peace to the fam. Glad I can make tonight. You know, very tired. You know, I've been streaming like hell lately because I got a lot of information, and I don't want to like commingle. What I mean is, I don't want to be talking about one thing, and because I got so much information, I'm talking about something else during that same live stream that like has nothing to do with the initial live. You feel me? So I'm trying to get out some of those lives, you know, around this time. But I was debating like, I'm tired because I was supposed to do the Smalls tonight, Professor Smalls tonight. But that one, I knew that won't be too long because there's a lot of information there that needs to be exposed. So I said, let me make that the morning. The morning lives be more like the prime time lives. And I said, yeah, I'm gonna make that one wait for tomorrow, and I'll do the Vlad one because I've been dying to do the Vlad one. And we got some bit of diaspora war, so let's see how long I can last tonight before I start dozing off. Just know if I start getting quiet, that means your brother is sleepy. But you know, we're gonna shine bright, and that's why I ask you guys to shine bright, man. Shine, always let that light shine. There's a song like that back in the day growing up. Yeah, Vlad is definitely not. But so is, I mean, he's not. But you know what? If you can get your message across without compromising yourself, your lineage, go ahead. Because, you know, who knows? You might find yourself on Sean Hannity, right? Find yourself on these big stations. You might find yourself on Roland Martin. Just to get the message off. You dig? Sometimes it's necessary. But to like be a co-host of his and you over there, like kind of like what Whack 100 does with Adam 22. That's like just crazy. Like Adam 22 has no respect for our lineage or anybody melanated. He ain't got no respect for an African immigrant, Caribbean, anybody that's melanated. He's like, man, screw y'all. So he will flag you. So let me just kind of let you know what happened. So they were talking about, he asked Tariq Nasheed, what is his thoughts about a foundational white American? So then that segued into like an all white town, something he really wanted to talk about. And like he low key said he supported it, right? Because he was like, man, if they want their own town, if they don't want to, you know, because he was basically saying if you close yourself to the outside world, like you don't really, those towns don't really thrive. Like they don't be lit, they be poor, whatever. So he said, hey man, if they want to close themselves in like that and only invite themselves over there where the economy is small and blah 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 blah, let them have it, man. You said he's supporting it. You see, so Tariq was like giving pushback, like, nah, man, like that right there set precedent for something else that they doing, and yeah, that town might be weak and insignificant and poor and broke, but human beings are innovative, and white folks are innovative. Yeah, they'll find a way. Matter of fact, that might, we always say that they got the sacrifices, right? They throw somebody out there, let them take the hit and do what they really want to do using that example. So this town could be like a sacrifice town. Look, throw it out there. This ain't gonna be successful, but it's gonna get it started. So now they see that these towns are not successful. They will ignore the bigger projects. You feel me? And then next you know, we back in Jim Crow. But that's why I was saying. The reason why I got so much outrage because a lot of us are on code, man. That's why you see the thumbnail. A lot of us are on two beautiful FBA children holding the on code sign. A lot of us in the in the USA flag clothing apparel. So a lot of us damn, I lost my thought. Hold on. Let me run that back. Lost my thought. And the US I'm broke. But human beings are innovative, and white folks are innovative. Yeah, they'll
Okay.
find a way. I lost my thought. So I know I was saying, hey man, like the video, please. We ain't got a lot of people in here, but we got some people in here up late listening to this live. So what I was saying was that I just lose my thought again. So yeah, we'll find ourselves back in segregation. So that's why the Jewish people have the slogan "Never Again." Anything that smell like uh, anti-Semitism, they're gonna shut it down, put the fire out before it. They're gonna stomp it out. It could be dust coming from that match, and they're gonna stomp that match out as though it's fire. You feel me? Or it could be potentially fire. We got to do the same thing with our lineage. We got to gatekeep our lineage. We got to protect the lineage. We got to super chat this late in the night from Mr. AMG. Thank you, brother. Thank you, thank you, thank you. He says your old stomping ground, Charleston in the house. I have to show support for the FBA grind. Thank you, man. 'Cause I'm definitely putting in a lot of work to you know, try to educate, inform, alert you guys, innovate you guys, give you guys something to think about, spark your mind, things like that. So I appreciate when you guys can like the video, you feel me? And then when you guys definitely gals definitely support financially, that's also a plus. But the support starts at always liking the video. Yeah, so for us, we have to have a never again slogan. So when Vlad, who's Jewish, will say, "Ah man, oh yeah, they ain't gonna do that." See, he won't say that if it was Germans doing some small time, you know, Nuremberg, little small time Nuremberg laws. Like so, if a couple Germans had their own German city, right, but they have Nuremberg laws in that city, or laws that resemble Nuremberg laws in that one small city. Ask Vlad then, like, how you feel about that in Germany? Yeah, he'll be offended like a mug. You feel me? So we don't want to. So have that same respect and have that same consideration when it comes to our lineage. You feel me? We don't want anything that smell like a sundown town or Jim Crow segregation, but That's why. See, it ain't just so tethers be like, oh, you ain't got smoke for nobody else. You're just gaslighting. We always got smoke for people who call us out. Yo, whoever called us out disrespected us, and we were just silent. Like, stop. You stop. We all type of boycotts. Even some boycotts that didn't even make sense. But hell no, man. You know, we call out Vlad a lot. We call out Adam 22. We call out these folks out all the time, man. Stop. All right. So anyway, so let me get into that. Then I'm gonna play some Diaspora Wars. Hopefully, I don't need any coffee because when it gets this late, it don't work anyway. Okay. So what Tariq Nasheed was saying to Vlad, look, it don't matter what Tariq Nasheed said. Vlad was rebutting, and it looked like Vlad might have already had ChatGPT, Tariq Nasheed possible responses because you know he spoke about this before. He had a whole debate with a white supremacist. So it looked like Vlad was a little prepared because he was giving rebuttals, and Tariq really ain't know how to respond to some of the rebuttals because they were pretty good. But um, but that's why we just stick with nah. Anything that sniffs, like anything that smells, if we sniff it and it smells remotely like segregation, sundown towns, we're good. And left it at that. And like Vlad, same thing with you. Anybody smell like Nazi Germany, I'm sure you're not gonna tolerate, no matter how small, no matter how tiny and small it grows, because both of us experienced something that started off small and then blew up to something that harmed people. So anyway, Tariq Nasheed responded. He said, these all white towns like the Ozarks or Missouri are being structured as private membership only communities to dodge civil rights laws like the Fair Housing Act. You feel me? So he said it's not just about whether anyone, because Vlad tried to say, yeah, man, nobody gonna go anyway. You know, and who's gonna go there? They like locking out society. Ain't gonna make any money. So Tariq Nasheed said it's not about whether anyone would actually want to live there. It's the legal precedent it could set, allowing racially discriminatory towns under the guise of privacy, right? And so Vlad, you know, bring up the typical white supremacist rebuttals. Hey, but clubs so-called discriminate. You know, if you have a LGBTQI plus meeting, you know, or something like that, this is just for them. They discriminate. Like all these little white supremacist target points that does not um have anything to do with anything to do with Tariq's first concern. These are just distractions, deflections. So the fact is it's not a club, these all white towns that says whites only. They're not a club. It's residential housing. So it's residential housing. Civil rights law protects housing as a fundamental right, not a social privilege. You see how you compare. Now Tariq should take this more serious when you're out there representing a thought. He should take it more serious. I understand you got Dan McCall, but when you're on Vlad and you plan on being on Hannity or Fox News, they're gonna have the rebuttals. So you take it serious. Like go ahead and have a rebuttal. Just like Vlad was waiting on you, what you would say, have a rebuttal to what they would say. You dig? So he could have told Vlad, hey man, yeah, but this all white town is not a club. It's residential housing. And because it's residential housing, it violates the 1968 FHA, Fair Housing Act, period. So no matter what it is, they're different. And historically, that all white town is very close to sundown towns, Vlad. Places where Black Americans, foundational Black Americans where foundational Black Americans were excluded, harassed, or even lynched if they stayed after dark. Vlad, if private towns are allowed to exclude based on race, this sets a dangerous road back towards Jim Crow style segregation just under a different label, Vlad. So we understand slavery by another name. Okay. So yes, Tariq is initially correct to raise alarm over this precedent, right? It's not about who wants to live there, Vlad. It's about protecting universal access to public rights. Okay. Now, Vlad later on brought up Umar. He's like, yeah, but Tariq, you supported Umar Johnson, all black boys school. So Tariq tried to rebut that a little bit, but Vlad stayed on him. And, he had Tariq a little confounded, I believe. Okay. And he didn't really have a good rebuttal for that. But again, another false equivalence. So, so Vlad said, let me tell you what Vlad said. Vlad said, well, private golf clubs and school. He said private golf clubs and private schools, they discriminate too. Umar school is for black boys. How is that different from a white only town? Okay. So let's get into it. Okay, so a private club like a golf course. These are non-essential recreational spaces, Vlad. While often exclusive, they don't control public housing, voting, or police access. What about Umar School? This was a proposed private academy for underdeserved black boys. It wasn't a town funded with public dollars, police, or infrastructure, Vlad. Big difference. White only towns. Now let's talk about whites only towns. See, that's why a lot of times, folks, we got to just be prepared in advance. Um, Whites only towns. These are full municipalities. If enforced, it could lead to segregated police forces because everything in town got to be white. What about the electric company? What about the gas and the water company? They all got to be white. Vlad, what about when they get gas in their gas pumps and supermarkets? See, it gets bigger than the white town starts to grow. It starts to grow. So what about banks? They're gonna have Bank of America over there. So now Bank of America has to discriminate in hiring. You feel me? So that's what everybody is talking about. Yeah. So, like I said, it can enforce, if enforced, it could lead to segregated police forces, schools, and tax funded spaces, which is a serious constitutional issue, Vlad. So, a private town equals what else, Vlad? What comes with a private town? Public roads, right? So, how are you going to tell people to get off public roads when it's not private? How about government services, right? That got to be there. Law enforcement, again, public. So this is far beyond a private club, my boy. This is Vlad. Like they know on some Jeezy voice. I mean, they know. So when Tariq Nasheed raised the taxpayer dollars question, so Tariq he made an excellent point that Vlad just didn't consider and just try to rebut right away. So Tariq said, if this is a white only town, will my tax dollars be going to pave their roads, fund their police, pay for their infrastructure, right? So Vlad had his fake little rebuttal. He just was being like a devil. So public towns get federal and state aid, roads, schools, utilities, grants. What's so private about that? So how can a private town receive public funding, public services? So if black and Jewish Americans are banned, yet still fund the town via taxes, this is discriminatory taxation, which violates constitutional rights, Vlad. So think about it this way, family. While y'all shining bright tonight, think about it this way. Would you be okay with funding a school your child isn't allowed to attend? I mean, that's the most simplistic way to ask the question back. Vlad, would you be okay with funding a school your child isn't allowed to attend based on him being Jewish? So that's what would be happening here in a municipal scale. Okay, now going back to Umar School, it's a valid question by Vlad, the devil. So Tariq said, yeah, but that school is never going to open, right? And that's a bit of a jab at Umar, of course, implying that the school was more talk than action. But he clarifies, okay, it was intended to be private, Tariq says, not publicly funded, targeted black boys who are underdeserved in public education, similar to all boys school or all girls school, privileged, religious academies. So the difference is, family, no exclusion of other races through law or force. Not so no law or force there. Not seeking federal money while excluding non-black boys. In short, real simple. It ain't the same thing. Vlad is just being a devil. So Tariq had used his museum as an example. He said it's black owned, but not exclusionary. He allows people of all races to rent the space, but he won't allow erasure or censorship of black history to appease non-black renters. So this shows he supports black ownership with open access, Vlad. He opposed to exclusive, racially gated institutions, whether white only towns or elite clubs that deny black Africans. So the conversation reflects a broader issue, right? How whiteness in America historically attempts to rebrand segregation through Vlad, right? Through privatization, whether it's private schools, private police, or now private towns. The goal often remains the same: exclude, deny, and control space. So our brother Tariq Nasheed isn't being hypocritical when Vlad tried to do that to him, bringing up Umar. He was warning against legal backdoors to racial exclusion. Vlad's club analogy sounds reasonable until you realize that land, law, enforcement, and civil rights are not the same as cocktails and golf balls and whatever else balls they got back there. That's none of our business. But that's what I want to say. But I didn't want to say that during the video I'm gonna do tomorrow on lying old Professor Smalls. Because like that's like a whole that is just far away from what I'll be talking about. I'm talking about, you know, um, old Pan-Africanists lying and trying to revise history to acquit Africa from being guilty of selling us, raiding us, kidnapping us, and then selling us to the white man. They try to act like it never happened or downplay it. So I want to be knee deep in that and then bring up this right here. All right, so let's see. What else I got before I play some Diaspora Wars? What else I got? Because everything else is geared to tomorrow morning show, which I'm gonna do really good at exposing Baba Smalls. Let's do a roll call. The energy is down because it's so late. Yeah, I was hoping, family, I was hoping like hell to get here like 8:30, 9:15 at latest. Then I could have did, my regular, what I was planning on doing. Family, we are down 16 likes. Can we get that up, please? If you haven't liked the video, you know who you are. Just press like. So we got Voodoo, FBA Goddess. We got Georgette Williams. Okay, we got Bro. We got Crack Netter 33. We got Songwriter Sunny. We got Pinky Wells. We got Random Instigator. We have I Am Sixth. We got Willie Boney. Willie Boney. Let me make you a mod. Okay, you are of the lineage, Willie Boney. So that means that we would like you to like the video, subscribe, hit the notification bell so you can see when I'm live tomorrow morning, and tune in if you're up. If you're up, if not, you still can get the notification bell to tune in tomorrow, late evening when I cook on Baba Smalls. We got Miss Unapologetic Identity. We have True Pilgrim 777. We have let me see. We got A McMill. We got Let's Get It 004. We got Free Papu still trolling. We got Give Last. People just they're just sad, man. We got Mr. AMG who gave that nice super chat of $20. Thank you very much. Number one Switch Blaze of the building. We have Black Matic. We have who else? Okay, Aspiring Heights in the building. She said, "What up, cowgirl in the house?" Oh, yeah. So we now seeing Dale. Wait, Mac. Okay, I get it right. Mac Il Wayne. Is that it? Did I say it right this time? We got Dale Mac Il Wayne. We got Salik Bay in the building. He said, "I'm here." All right. So now let's get to oh my God. So let me just preface y'all for tomorrow. So I'm gonna expose again. We got Moon Duck Maximus. Okay, so so now my last time exposing Professor Smalls, it went very viral. And guess what? I had like 10,000 views. For us, it's a small channel. I only got 2,000 views, 2,000 subscribers. So 10,000 views is 5 times my subscription base. So anyway, at that time I had like 1,000 subscribers. So it was really, really successful video. And guess what? The ironic thing is it wasn't even a live. It was an upload. So I didn't even get the credit that I deserve for that. So maybe, you know what I'll do? I'm gonna play that back. I'm gonna play that back tomorrow because it got 10,000 views as an upload. I never got the credit. Like I didn't go live and do it. So damn, man, 10,000 views. That's about like 600 people would have been in the live. You feel me? So I'll just play that back again tomorrow as well. So get that going on the live. Then I'm gonna play. So there's this thing that I've noticed because I'm great with patterns. I teach chess. I keep telling you that. So I'm great with patterns. So I noticed, and that's a huge advantage for me, uh, being able to notice these patterns very quickly. So by debating these Pan-Africanists, and everybody got their own pattern. A white supremacist, a tethered conservative. Everybody has their own pattern. But if you talk to enough of them, I will see the pattern. So now I want to give you an example when I say I'm very good with patterns. Because you know, just because you do something, it doesn't mean you're the best at it. Okay. Unless you're the best at it. So I just want to, in fact, let me see. Is my other account back up? Because YouTube deleted one of my accounts. Nah. Hmm. Should I show it? Hmm. Man. Okay. I think I know what video it was. It was the Knight and Queen. Mm. All right. Knight and Queen. Hope I ain't coming down with something 'cause my throat been itchy lately. Okay, there we go. Queen of Night. There you are. Okay, good. Okay, so this is the video right here. This is one of my chess videos. So I was explaining Queen versus Knight. So that's all what I'm doing. I drew everything here, obviously. But I want y'all to see. So now 11,000 views, 7 years. That's not a lot, right? But it's a small channel, only 408 views, right? But I want y'all to read the comments I this is how I know I was a great teacher. I can explain stuff very well and be innovative and explain it in a way where you can get it faster than the next person's explanation. I knew that when you trying to establish, you can comprehend well from what you recall, what you read, what you studied. Your teacher would say, put it in your own words. So if you could put it in your own words, where people get it right away better than the next person in their own words, like not only you have a great comprehension, you are lit. You are that dude. You are him, right? Hemi Hendrix. So now, look, 6 years ago, I've checked all sorts of in-game books on this, but no one ever explained it like this. Thanks so much for this video. I want to end game with this technique. Yeah, okay. The way I taught this was never taught me, never seen before in life. He said every in-game book he ever read. I knew that. Thanks, man. I tried it on my computer, and this technique really works. Your explanation is much better than the one Silman's in book. Now, if y'all Google Silman's in book, this in book game is like top tier. This is the best end game, Queen versus Knight, I have ever watched. Thank you a lot. I really appreciate it. You dig? Wow, this should be more popular. It's the most helpful on this subject I found on YouTube. You know how big YouTube is, right? As others have said, this is the best video about this subject on YouTube or possibly anywhere. Goddamn, anywhere. Wow, this is a lifesaver. That's all I've been getting. Every last comment says all nothing but praise. Okay. And that's not just that. That's chess. When I do other stuff as well, I get the same praise when you guys are bear witnessing what I do here on this channel. I don't think nobody exposed Marcus Garvey more than I have, right? And as bad as I did. So a couple things I highlight, and I'm doing this stuff like real time, like what we're learning together. This is real time. This is real time research. I don't have time to like really study and look into it meticulously and really not make a mistake because I'm live so often, family. I don't have time to research like that, like going full depth. I got to get it right the first time, so the pressure's on, and that's why people knew Umar's school would be garbage. There's no way that you can dedicate a little time to anything else. If you're trying to build a massive school for Black boys, how do you have time to do anything else? I'm telling you, when I made that video, I really did nothing else. I said, I got to find this pattern and it got to be a better way. What I was saying to myself, it got to be a better way to learn this. And I did my thing. You feel me? So people can talk that all day long, but there's some of us who does things for clout or because it's trending, but there's some of us who are just great teachers in anything we know. You feel me? Anything we get our hands on, we're just great at giving it back. Wait till I see my chemistry videos, giving those back. You know how difficult chemistry is. So I was making that thing look like 1+1. I was making chemistry look like 1+1. He said, that one brother, we got that one brother in the building. Peace to you. He said, it'll come. Umar needed a team. Yeah, that's why people knew he was garbage right from the door. Buckhorse DC. Songwriter says tethers function so consistently, muscle memory makes them light work. Right. Right. So yeah, so I think that's the value I add. And I'm saying that because Tariq Nasheed is so busy with so much stuff, he does not have time to really, you know, make his arguments crisp as they once was. Because he's busy. Shit. What else can we say? That's why I will be a great asset to his show. When we finally link up, when I finally call in one day and cook a tether, hopefully it's revenue. Um, but yeah, so it's just right now, like I'm tired now, but it's just a matter of time, family. Somehow, some way, either with y'all help or just a coincidence, but somehow, some way, me and Tariq is gonna link up. We're gonna have a conversation, and I'm gonna give him game on everybody. Like, yo, man, look, this is the best way to do this. This is the best way to argue that. This is what I would say. I'm gonna tell him about hyperselectivity. 'Cause I watch all his videos and I see where some tethers be trying to confound him with some things. Even revenue comes here first to try to learn some things from me. and then go back and try to confound Tariq, or he try to sound more educated, like he's been really researching. He just repeating what I said to him, so that they kind of think he's smarter than what he is. Yeah, yeah, facts. So somehow, some way, I'm gonna find myself a useful vessel on Tariq Radio, cooking on lying tethers and white supremacists that use the per capita stuff. I can't wait. I can't wait to get my hands on them. Like, that's the only folk I ain't talked to yet was the white supremacists. I can't wait to get them. I want the Jared Taylor type though. Revenue gets on your nerves. Okay, so now with all that being said, let's get to um some content, right? Well, video, the likes are still down, family. I know it's late. I know it's late, but that don't mean you guys could be. I know it's late, but that don't mean you can be lazy. All right, so now let me just first give a shout out to my boy. Wait, ho. Okay, so he's been an activist for, like, I ran into him. I was live. No, I'm about to go live. I was about to go live, and I ran into my boy Tremel. All right, so it turned out that police officers had gunned down his aunt in like the worst way, and there's a video that shows all that. That's even worse. So this is him. He's been an activist for the longest in this city. But these are the people I know in real life. You dig? People can talk that talk and this and that. And like I said, I just ran into him, got his number and everything. But check this out. So I told him I would air it on my live, bring awareness to the situation.
Why are we here? Why are we here? I'm asking the question. Anybody? Why are we here? You don't know why we're here?
Yep.
Why are we here?
Because you don't have to shut.
No. I'm talking about this facility. Why don't we move the facility from City Hall to here?
Larger, this group would never fit in that group.
The group would never fit?
Correct.
That's strange, but this is the first time you murdered somebody. So why is it the first time you move venue? You're serial killers. You murdered 4 times, so why is this the first time there's a venue change?
I just thought basically with the city that this would be a larger area for people to sit and
This is a larger area?
it is.
So you check, so why we're not being checked when we go into City Hall? So why would we being checked here? Why are we being criminalized? Come on now. Why?
Yeah, so apparently, like, they changed some rules now that it did some dirty stuff. And by the way, the aunt that they let me change my language. The aunt that the police officers unalived, she was like a senior citizen. It was in a senior citizen building, and she was dealing with mental illness, but this was known throughout the facility, right? So but people like in her case, they know that when you call the cops, that you're supposed to have somebody that can like be the mediator to explain to cops what's going on, the situation, mental illness and things like that. Now she's a like frail lady, like 70 something years old, I think 68 or 70, 115 pounds. People was complaining she walk around with a knife, whatever. And now when the cops got there, she wasn't walking around with a knife. She was in her door. She was in her room. They knocked on the door to get her to come out the house, and they like really banging, revving her back up. So she walked out with the knife, and they started to tase her, mace her, everything. Then when a Spanish cop just let off, like, I'm talking about, she's an old senior citizen. The Spanish guy let off like 4 rounds on her, 4 or 5 rounds. Like an old lady like that, bro. Like you could just like literally just knock her down. It was a crazy situation.
Hold on, wait. Why did you pick today to criminalize people? When normally, if we were at City Hall, regardless of what the capacity is, you would allow us to go straight through. But being that this is a sensitive situation, you feel like there's a number of people that's going to be here, which you should expect. You're in a city of 50,000, so you should expect at least 100 and something people to come. Why is this any different? Why do you got barricades, metal barricades out there? What do you expect us to do?
Okay, so this is you could look this up on the news and you'll see the whole clip. You dig? Of the video of the actual shooting. It's crazy. Of course, Black.
What do you
Yeah, so I ain't gonna play the whole thing, but just I told him I'd bring some awareness to it, and we're gonna find a day where I can interview him and talk about the situation to bring, to give it more light, more awareness, so this situation can shine bright. But yeah, but I'm telling you, like, that's all I'm gonna say. Like, people be talking on the line, but like some of us really are connected to really, people that really be out there. All right. Anyway, let's continue with the. Yeah, they looking crazy. Yeah. All right. So I'm not. So let me go here. So this dude I just wrote them today. I said I want to speak to this guy right here. This Pan-Africanist guy. Listen to what he's going to say. And tomorrow, AM family, I'm going to be cooking on Baba Smalls, Professor James Smalls, because he and his team tried to justify Africa enslaving us. Well, Africa kidnapping us and stealing us and then selling us. He tried to make light of it. So I'm gonna bring back my conversations with Revenue. And then I'm gonna show my conversation with Unc of the Yamaraj Squad, Pseudo Killers, Community Skeptics. Then I'm gonna show my conversation with the Proper Perspective Weird Guy, and I'm gonna show my conversation with the other Shabazz guy, and that might be it. But back to patterns, I was able to find a pattern. Like, you know what? A lot of Pan-Africanists don't like to accept the fact that Africans sold us. So that's why you see I would kind of like start most of the conversations with a Pan-Africanist with that. Like, hey, what's your thoughts on the slave trade? Oh, white folks came and did this. White folks, whitey. Really? It's called a slave trade, though. Who was selling? Who was buying? Whitey. Whitey was selling. Whitey was buying. So I'm gonna show you all of that. And I'm glad I didn't have time to even do that live today because it would have been kind of sloppy. Something like that got to be done right. So, it's a song called Take Your Time, Do It Right. So I'm going to take my time and do it right. It's going to look way better tomorrow. All right. But patterns, man, like, yeah, they have an issue with accepting. So like, accountability. Pan-Africanists and a lot of African immigrants, you'll see them having a hard time of accepting accountability. Oh, yeah. Then I got 2 clips of 2 Africans who said they have never heard of the African slave trade, whereas Africans sold us to whites. They say they never heard of that. It's not taught in Africa. I'm like, damn. Africa really trying to acquit himself. Africa knows. After we get that reparation from America, we're going to do a reparation world tour. We're going to America first. We're going to Great Britain next. And then Africa. We're going to visit Ghana, Ashanti, all those places that was involved in the slave trade. That's where we go next. But this guy right here, this Pan-Africanist, he I want to talk to him. He's very dishonest.
One of the things that I took from the second young sister is that she basically, without saying it, identified as a group of people who have been colonized, who've only been able to hold on to very
Poison Ivy, how are you? Shine bright, Poison
surface
Ivy.
level
Satchel Ohio.
terms of
Shine bright, my brother.
their culture. So they do have the culture as an identifier.
Didn't have to be here running wild
to who they are, to where they're from. But at the same time,
their ancestors,
what they truly align with, even in African countries, is this, white power structure that has dominated their cultures. Many of their first languages is not African.
Yeah, so now see now okay, right now, family, what he's doing and he's explaining, he's justifying why Africans hate us. He's justifying why the Africans waged a diaspora war on us. He's justifying all of their dirty, dirty, bad behavior toward us. So Miss Unapologetic Identity said he is correct. They are not taught about slave trade, about the slave trade. I'm like, wait, wow. So I just like, so what makes them different than white races? White races aren't taught about Black Wall Street. White races ain't taught about Maggie Lena Walker, Madam C.J. Walker, A.G. Gaston, the Titanic. So it's like, so they both just gonna omit history to feel better. That's why I say I don't look at either one of them as the better, good cop, bad cop, man. I don't look at one of them as the good cop. They're both bad cops. But family, Breeze Omega, listen to this guy justify why Africans hate us. Oh, some of them don't even speak their native language. Some of them speak English. Listen to this guy.
It's a year culture with, even in African countries, is this, white power structure that has dominated their cultures. Many of their first languages is not African. It's European, it's Portuguese, it's French, it's English, it's, Spanish or Afrikaans. It's not their native language.
Yeah.
So when they come to America, they look down upon us because of the brainwashing they've absorbed in terms of the images that have been portrayed about us in their countries.
Okay. Did you catch that? These Pan-Africanists, man. Now, they are super hard on us, though. You see how soft his voice got? Oh, man, they show images, family. They're talking to, listen, you got to keep in mind, please, it's hard to do this because we can only comprehend based on what we experience, family. Keep in mind, there are no white people in their country. So when he talks about images and that is Africans displaying those images. Okay, we're different. We are the only minority. We're the only minority that live amongst white people, like interacting. We're integrated. We're the only minority. So, so when they show an image, you dig? Yeah, the whole world gonna see it, not just us, but everybody gonna see it, a negative image of us. But family, that's white folks doing it. It's white folks TV stations, that's white folks radio stations, that's white folks media, newspapers, right? That's all white folks. But family, if they're looking at negative images, it's still them doing it. That's their country. Like, what are we doing? One more time. Listen to this fool. Again, like what they do is sometimes they try to speak and hope that we look at it from our Western American experience. Oh, yeah, I guess. Yeah, I guess they got white man over there. Ain't a white man over there. So any image they're watching or believing as negative upon us is black. No. There's nobody black over there. It is Africans who are showing that image to demonize us. It ain't the white man. Hold on. Somebody want to join a group. Okay. Let me read the chat on that. What do you think about that, man? Bro says, when my fellow moderators do not respond to my questions, it's all bad. True or false? And bro, you might be lit tonight. You might be drinking that fireball. Hey, Golden Brown says, Deuce Muhammad Ali is the founder of Pan-Africanism. Let me see, because there's a whole bunch of, and look, hey, Golden Brown, that's another thing. When you try to get these folks to ask who started Pan-Africanism, man, depending upon who you ask, you're going to have like 5 different answers. So we got Breeze Omega says facts, unbiased. Ron Poison Ivy says no tribe can truly be white or black unless some sacrifice to their preferred offspring. Songwriter says my first experience with chess immediately was my last because as a child I knew what was fun, but I knew it was fun, but something about chess inevitably triggers the portion of my brain associates with survival foresight. Associated, I got you. Associated with survival, got you. Lord Maul, peace, man. Shine bright, brother. They're trying to dole out light with all this negativity. All right. Gary Williams, peace to you. Watts, peace. Andre Simmons says, that ain't our fault. We go to their culture to learn. They said they come to get over and take our resources. That's right. Andre, let me make you a mod so you can be with us, the lineage. You're not an outsider. Okay. When you are FBA Adolf Friedman of the lineage, you cannot have no wrench. You need a wrench. Okay. Because we got to differentiate. We got to delineate over here. We got to know who is who and who's not. Right. Yeah. Okay. So 1866. Damn, yeah. Wait. The Deuce Muhammad was born 1866. Yeah, but he ain't the oldest. Martin Delaney is older than that. And he was a Pan-Africanist. And there's another Pan-Africanist that's older than him. Okay, so let me look at this. Let me look up your man's Deuce Muhammad. I never heard of him, by the way, so that'd be a good look. This would be a good look right here. Oh, he one of those dudes, one of those Fez dudes. He look like a Moor. Okay, so Deuce Muhammad Ali, Sudanese Egypt actor, political actor. I hope they ain't got an actor as the leader who became known for his African nationalism. He was a playwright, historian, journalist, editor, and publisher in 1912. He founded the African Times and Orient Review. Where did he live at? Later revived as the African and Orient Review, which published in total through 1920. He lived and worked mostly in England alongside the United States and Nigeria, respectively. In the latter location, he founded the Comet Press. All right, I'll check him out. I'll check him out later. Let's get back to this clown.
In terms of the images that have been portrayed about us in their countries. The only things that they saw, and I'm talking about going back like 40, 50 years, coming here, where this whole thing, this whole concept of what Black Americans were, was developed by watching the international news networks that would only show the worst parts of Black America and consistently feed it to Africans. The fact that
the energy they put into defend Africans who are on the wrong side of history is just amazing. If they defended us that as much as that, we would probably be so successful. Listen to this guy.
Concept of what Black Americans were, where this whole thing, this whole concept of what Black Americans were, was developed by watching the international news networks that would only show the worst parts of Black America.
All right. So now we got to stop this, family. We got to stop this. So listen, keep in mind, they can't have it both ways. Okay. They'll say that the person, and now it's international news. So if it's international news, it has to be the colonizer. But then you'll say that these Africans identify the colonizer as the enemy. So you still lose. Well, it's at that point, it's like, okay, is the colonizer a friend of Africa or an op? If he's an op, okay, so why are you taking the images of the op about us who you never met before that you're probably going to meet once you get over here? You get a lottery visa, whatever. When you finally get over here, don't you think that's suspicious that your ops is showing negative images of people who look similar to you before you meet them? You don't find that like a flag that your ops is like trying to paint a picture? But we know he made that up. He's lying. He made that up.
And what Black Americans was developed by watching the international news networks that would only show the worst parts of Black America and consistently feed it to Africans. The fact that you have to earn a visa to come to America.
Wait, so those images make you hate us? So now images make you hate us, but the actions of your colonizer makes you love them. That sounds crazy. Images and videos make you hate us, but the real life actions of your colonizer, you love him. Yeah, there's no way to justify that.
And the lines are very long. So they critique. I mean, we were just talking about prior to the show how the Australians determined who was going to be their breakdancer for the Olympics and how they utilized their system, caste system, racism, white supremacy, to exclude all of the Black people in that particular country. In Australia, from being a representative, takes place. I'm sorry, the board again. That's the same thing that takes place when it comes to Africans wanting to come to America. And so I have some grace in that particular understanding. And when they come to America, they feel like y'all lost me for a second?
Yeah.
Everybody's frozen for a second. Okay. All right, I'm back. Hopefully we don't have to deal with that too much. So the things that I'm seeing in terms of them coming to America, they're coming to America not being able to relate to the culture that's here already of Black people here. So they already feel like outsiders and misfits. On top of that, they've been taught not to associate with us because it's the fastest way for them to get in trouble, this, that, and the other. So I take that with all grace to America, they're coming to America not being able to relate to the culture that's here already of Black people here. So they already feel like outsiders and misfits. On top of that, they've been taught not to associate with us because it's the fastest way for them to get in trouble, this, that, and the other. So I take that with all the grace. I still understand, though, a lot of those African countries had leaders, African leaders, throughout their history that should have given them more so. It should have allowed them to take in or understand more so how the system, the corrupt system of white supremacy works and the images it portrayed. Because the same thing happened here in America, where the only time we saw visions of people from Africa was when Sally Struthers was out there with poor and neglected children from Ethiopia on infomercials.
Right.
And we saw those images with flies and stuff buzzing around those children. And it gave us the impression here that African was the we even consider it a continent. We considered it a country of savages, and that needed to be helped and needed to be civilized. So you're right, Joe. The root of all of our xenophobia
Is barely
amongst
crazy.
Black people here in America and Africans even in Africa, in different countries, because they don't
Hebrew
even
native,
identify as
DSA
African
one.
most of the time. They identify with their country and their tribes.
Okay, yeah, dummy. That's why we're not going to be anybody's generic African. But they never did identify as Africa. They always identify as matter of fact, you know what I'm gonna do? I think it's important. Hold on.
Xenophobia
Wait, what?
amongst Black people here in America. You're right, Joe. The root of all of our xenophobia amongst Black people here in America and Africans even in Africa, in different countries, because they don't even identify as African most of the time. They identify with their country and their tribes. That is latent in the whole concept of divide and conquer.
Oh
Right.
my God.
All right. And when Africans come to America, they want to align with a system of power.
Uh-oh. What power is that? It sounds like you're confessing that they aligned themselves up to white supremacy power, just like Marcus Garvey aligned himself up with the KKK power. So, again, man, none of this stuff makes sense because Africans will say that we have the white supremacist talking points, but you're saying they align themselves up with white. You're saying that Africans align themselves up with the white supremacy power. All right, let's go.
Patrick broke it down. I don't need to go any further into it.
She said it. She said it.
Yeah. So in that alignment, then anything that goes against that alignment, you're diametrically opposed to, which is Black people in America, who are the ones who, let's be clear about something. We are, although genetically speaking,
Here we go.
and ancestral speaking, we can go back to Africa.
Oh my God.
We're new people.
Okay, at least
We
you admit
are
that.
a new creation of Black in America with Black, like we're literally a combination of the best of those who came to America and was able to survive the
family. He sound like me when I said the jealousy that most people have over us is that we're not like the Haitians and Jamaicans. We are literally the best of the best. They be like, Gillette's the best I can get. Yeah, we are literally, our unique ethnogenesis has put us in a position where we are literally the best of the best. Most people know that.
Who came to of the best of those who came to America and was able to survive the transatlantic slave trade and the barbarian treatment of the Europeans, that in terms of and in the mixture of all the different cultures, the different races, or I mean the different ethnicities within Africa, the different nations, that brought us up. That elixir created us. And so we are foundationally Black American. And that and I don't think there's anything wrong with that and identifying with that. I think one of the things that gets mistaken when Tariq Nasheed speaks about these things is that people who come from different nations believe that they can have an input in terms of what goes on in our community. We don't have any input in what goes on in Ghana. We don't have any input in what goes on in Nigeria. And I love my African brothers and sisters. I want to say that plainly. You know, I have a lot of good brothers and sisters who I talk to, I have built relationships with over the years. So, you know, I want to be clear about that. But just like they have a right to their national identity, this is nationalism for Black people who were born and created in America. Now that other little girl. I mean, did you want to jump in first, Joe? Because I saw you put your finger up.
I forgot what I was gonna say.
All right, it'll come back to you. Yeah. But that other little girl,
nothing, man, because he didn't.
Poor misguided soul. That young sister needs to actually sit at the feet of an elder, a jegna, who can point her in the right direction. She's trying to bring a whole lot of stuff into a conversation she's not prepared to have. She's angry. She's not, you can look at the sister. She's not a desired sister by others. Yeah, Tariq Nasheed probably reminds her of the type of men that she's attracted to that would reject her. So it's just what it is. It's the and that's just part of the psychology that comes with that. It's like when you work with a child and the child instantly dislikes you and you've never met that child a day in your life. The psychology that comes from that is you remind that child of somebody that they don't like for whatever reason. So, you know, it's hard to go into because she was confused, and you could tell she started off with an idea.
Hold on. So they must have played some videos. Okay, all right.
And then throughout the idea, she realized, but she didn't even realize anything. She was like a child that was lost, trying to find their way back to the road they started at. And so she started coming up with all these concepts that didn't make sense because she was unorganized in her thoughts. So it's not really much you can really make of that, you know, that situation.
Yeah. Now, so both of you hit up on something that's very key that Black Americans, foundational Black Americans, that we have to understand. We did something unique as far as us coming together to see ourselves as one versus Black people in other areas of the world, or even other areas of the West, or even in the continent of Africa. So think of America as 50 different countries. So Black people from 50 different countries, we decided that we were going to operate as one and see ourselves as one.
Oh my God. 54 countries who's always seen themselves as individuals who have distinctive flags to remind each other we're not the same. Well, they're not the same. I mean, excuse me, that filthy language out of my mouth, but I'm speaking for them. I'm speaking for them, their logic. 54 countries, 54 different names to remind each other they're not the same. Then they got flags to deepening remind each other we're not the same. And you think that one day they're just gonna wake up collectively on some rapture type and say, "Hey man, let's all get on a code." Like, come on, man! Like this is stupid. This is a fantasy. Peter Pan Africanism. Listen to
The
this
West,
foolishness.
or even in the continent of Africa. So think of America as 50 different countries. So Black people from 50 different countries, we decided that we were going to operate as one and see ourselves as one, because we had to survive within the confines of America, of this continent being here since 1619 till now. We had
Okay, so you're speaking about Foundation Black Americans. Okay, I thought you was talking about. All right, I just heard 50. He's talking about 50 states. My fault, family. I jumped the gun. It is late. I just heard 50 something. I'm thinking 50 countries. But what I said was still accurate. It just ain't responding to him. That's all. I'm just misquoting him.
to come together as one. And once again, remember looking at it through not as America as one country, but break America up into 50 different countries. That's what happened. Black people throughout these 50 different countries, or states as we call them, the states, all 50 states, Black people decided that we got to operate as one. Now, for the most part, we did that. We, of course, we know it was 100%, but that was the idea. That's the mindset. That's how we operate. That's how we roll, because it was unique to our situation for our survival and for our advancement. Now, remember, when the Europeans pulled up in Africa, one of the greatest tools that they had was being able to play on the tribalism that already existed in Africa.
Here we go with the excuses. Oh man, I'm so tired of this, man. The European was able to play on the tribalism of the Africans. Oh God, I'm just tired of the excuses, man. It's just so annoying. Oh, I didn't mean to do that. Oh, shit. Damn, man. That ain't what I wanted. Man, let me stop that. That's not what I wanted. Hold on. Let me play this postman.
Before they got there, I watched when I was scrolling through putting the clip together for this video. It was another video that I wanted to add to it, but I couldn't download the video. But there was a brother basically breaking down the tribalism in Africa, the way that different groups of people, different tribes, different cultures, they see each other different. So we put race first because that's how we had to roll. They put whatever they need to put first because that's how they roll. And then the race things comes last. But even like the young lady articulated, they don't see themselves the same way we see ourselves. They don't see themselves as one of us when they get.
Right. So right, because they're not like us. So stop all this "we are one" talk. You're saying it. You're saying they don't see ourselves as them. Right. So stop all this "we are one" talk. That's not going to happen with them. They don't even see themselves as one.
The same way like the young lady articulated. They don't see themselves the same way we see ourselves. They don't see themselves as one of us when they get here. Now, is that 100% for all non-FBA? No. because like Pat, like PC, like a bunch of us, hey, my godfather is Ghanaian. I'm gonna say that again. My godfather is Ghanaian.
Yeah, it's always something like that when they be on the wrong side of history. They always either dating, or they got a half and half kid. It's always something like this, man.
Most of the people that I grew up with, Africans, like some of my greatest people I know, like the Africans that I know, there's no tribalism between the Africans that I know, because the ones that I know, the ones that I've operated with, the ones that I've done community work with, ones that I grew up with, like a bunch of people, we all know that. But we also know, that's why I say for the first young lady, two things can be true at the same time. Tribalism exists, and tribalism exists on the continent. Tribalism exists within Black America, but
Oh
Black
my
American,
God, they want to give us the tribalism tag. They just, again, accountability. They just cannot hold Africa accountable alone. They got to bring in the white man. They got to bring in the FBAs. They just cannot hold accountable Africa alone and say, yeah, this was wrong. Y'all were tripping. Somehow the white man or FBAs will be brought up.
are disrespected by non-FBA, and non-FBA are disrespected by Black Americans. Two things exist at the same time, but we have to understand the history of this
and these guys, the history of it, white supremacy, watch.
And the mindset behind this. The bulk of them will not see themselves the same as us, because look at all the infighting that's happening on the continent. Like when's the last time one group of Black people in America tried to commit genocide to another group of Black people in America?
Papa, peace.
I think,
Well, outside the gangs.
but I think the thing that Black
Crane,
people in
Shakir,
America
peace.
have to, and I like what
Don't
PC
wake up
said,
in hell.
because it reminds me of something I used to say,
Peace
which
to
is
you.
that Black people are Frankenstein's monsters.
Yeah, Black people in America, yes.
We are Frankenstein's monster of a people. We're the newest people to be created.
So let me read that. Read that. So don't wake up in hell, F Ninja. Damn, it's funny as hell. Don't wake up. He said, I don't have a problem with Italians. Us Black folks share history with them, but you're not finna start calling white Italians Black because you got Italian friends, Ninja. We not doing that. That's facts. And like, some of us actually try to do that, but they got checked right away. And it was really for shits and giggles, right? Nobody was dead ass. But it did kind of like go that way a little bit.
We're still very much children in terms of culture in the world. And we still have a very childish view of the world. And that comes across like,
Yeah, Tiger Cream. I'm gonna go on that tomorrow. How, like, I guess they really don't know their history, because a lot of them don't even understand that the slave trade, they were involved. Like, they think the white man went in there and just took folks, sold folks, and then also bought folks. They just did everything. Well, Africa did nothing. So it's looking like they almost believe that, but I can't give them a pass. Like you said, they say we got no culture. They're so educated. When they come over here, they just do so well. So yeah, I can't give them a pass.
and this is not a shot to anybody, but even the way we understand Pan-Africanism,
Yeah.
is very simplistic for most of us. I've met several Black people that have a very in-depth and nuanced view of Pan-Africanism. I'm on the line with two of them. But on the whole, and we're even seeing this play out now with Kamala Harris. She's got some melanin, so she's one of us.
Mm-hmm.
You know, how many times have you bumped into a little kid that said, you have my nose, you must be like me? Or you see, they find some real you.
I ain't never bump into a little kid to say some goofy stuff like that, man. Stop. That's not how little kids think, bro. You could be white as snow, the other one dark as chocolate, and little kids would get along. Man, I just left that area today. Little kids, everybody's getting along. Oh, bad. But I'm seeing how white folks raise their kids, like their boys, just terrible. You see why they grow up and do stupid stuff. Like, it's just like, wow, you don't want to be a father, man.
As an adult, you understand this to be an insignificant thing in the grand scheme of what the child is connecting. We see this all the time. But for whatever reason, because of our youngness in terms of our cultural maturity and our global perspective, we see other people. It's funny too, because I know I'm on a tangent. I'm being real murder moot right now. But it's funny too, because like my boys and I, we're watching the Olympics, right? And it was like, and then we're watching the show on Netflix with the Black people with powers, right? Good show, by the way. I forget the name of it, but we noticed you can't necessarily say all Black people across the spectrum look the same no more. Black people from the UK have a distinct look now. They don't look like Black Americans.
I'm about to fast forward him.
Black people, and any different
he just saying random stuff.
An identity, allow us to call ourselves that, and then to different recognize the Jamaican from. It's okay for us to call ourselves that, and then to differentiate ourselves from other Black people. That don't mean that I dislike Black people from the Caribbean. That don't mean that I don't.
Yeah, but that's how a lot of them are taking it, man. So speak to them.
See some ways that, say, a Jamaican could help, and that I can help a Jamaican, but that is to recognize that Jamaican culture is different from Black American culture, and that we are inherently two different groups of people.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Let me jump right in there real quick, man, because I remember being a freshman in Bloomsburg University, and we had a speaker come in, famous Caribbean author Jamaica Kincaid, and she was, I had bought her book, and we were in the crowd asking questions, and I asked her, well, what does it mean to you to be a Black woman, growing up in these days and times? And she said, well, honestly, I never looked at myself as being Black. I'm more concerned about being a woman.
Thank you. Thank you. You are supporting my argument. The only Black people with the only real definition are foundation Black Americans. Everybody else who uses the definition Black to describe themselves, they use it as a color, like, the color Black. They use it to associate it with their melanin expression coming from their skin. We're the only people that take the word Black and make it mean more than a color. We make it mean an experience, a lineage, a shared history. So when people say they're Black, it's like, okay, you might think you're Black, but you're not Black the same way we think we're Black.
To be a Black woman, you could come in, famous in Bloomsburg University, and we had a speaker come in, famous Caribbean author Jamaica Kincaid, freshman in Bloomsburg University.
I want y'all to hear that. Jamaican, okay? She's Jamaican, all right? I want you to know that, because they're not going to see, they'll use Black to describe themselves as a descriptive term, but they're not going to use Black as a standalone identity like how we use it.
And we had a speaker come in, famous Caribbean author Jamaica Kincaid, and she was, I had bought her book, and we were in the crowd asking questions, and I asked her, well, what does it mean to you to be a Black woman, growing up in these days and times? And she said, well, honestly, I never looked at myself as being Black. I'm more concerned about being a woman. And then, so I immediately gave her book to somebody else because I was pissed off when she said that shit.
Right. That's the issue, brother. So it gets confusing when we call them black and they call themselves black because we're using it two different ways and it just draws confusion. That's why I say, hey, you just said you just said she was a Jamaican woman. So ask her about how it feels to be Jamaican, bro. Don't even put black there. Everybody just getting confused.
Not even gonna lie, but I'm a radical ass 1993, but but in regards to what she later said, she said my entire island is full of black people, so we never really had to encounter what you count.
Your entire island is full of Jamaicans and they're dark. Okay, you see how they're using black as a color. They're the same color. They're not using black as a lineage or a standalone identity, ethnonym. Okay, so this, oh my God. The excuses, man.
What you encounter in regards to race. And at that time, I was really too immature to understand what she was saying. But it was.
No, you were very mature. Okay, you're just a Pan-Africanist. You're just all in. So you're trying to make her be right 20 years later, bro. She was wrong 20 years earlier. She's wrong 20 years later, bro. You're trying to make her right, and your story ain't gonna make any sense, man. Nothing she said makes sense.
It's more along the lines of what the latter young lady was saying in the video we just watched. In regards of prioritizing race and culture and those different things. You know what I'm saying? I still don't totally agree with what she said, but at least I have an understanding as to why she said it and framed it the way she did. Because I thought she was pandering to the white audience.
Yeah, just like Tyler, bro. Like Tiger, they do that. Tyler, Tiger. Yes, they pander to the white audience, bro. Okay, is that okay? Why do you believe? Oh my God.
Absolutely.
Yeah, and I still think she was. You know.
Like, and that's a great point,
bro.
because I don't, but understanding too, like for me, I don't agree with the way the girl was making the point she was making. I understand the point, and I do agree with the general concept of the point, but I disagree with the narrative that is painted potentially by the point. And I strongly disagree with her conclusion, which is that Africans that live in America long enough will come to this place of compassion. One, it speaks to, it kind of paints this narrative that we need you to come to a place of compassion, or we want you to come to a place of compassion, or this narrative that when Africans from the continent come to America, they'll achieve this place of compassion that will make them be more beneficial and acquiesce more advantageous to Black Americans. And I disagree with that whole line of thinking. One, I don't think that living in America makes African immigrants more compassionate. If anything, I think it hardens their stance, because as they align with white supremacy and reap the benefits of that alliance, it perpetuates further hatred.
Right.
So it doesn't even make sense. But then on another level, how does that compassion benefit Black Americans? And do Black Americans really want them to be compassionate? I don't think we do.
Well, that's what I was just about to say. I was just about to say, because, okay, you have the compassion, but the compassion never turns into anything tangible. Because think about, why are we having this conversation in the first place?
Well, you think about, I'm sorry, Joe.
No, go ahead.
Well, you think about it too, right? Well, first of all, it speaks from a place of it speaks from a place of thinking that you're better than us.
Right.
So you have to sort of
not to say that.
Right. Right. But that's what it is.
Why do y'all hold back your truth about how you feel on Africans? But when it comes to FBAs, you unleash all your truth, man. You don't care if it hurt our feelings, if it nothing makes us sad, angry. You just say it. But Africans, everybody got their kitty gloves on, handling Africans. It's just sick, man.
We're better than you because we were able to get closer to white people than you, so we're better than you. Because look at, like she said, the sacrifice that we've made. Hey, lady, don't come over here talk about sacrifice like you're the only ones in sacrifice. And that's one thing I don't.
Go ahead, Joe. I'm sorry.
That's one thing I don't like when I'm talking to people who've immigrated to America. They make it seem the image that they have of Black Americans is the same old. We lazy, we ain't do nothing, we crying about nothing. And everybody else, even the immigrants, could come over here with nothing and then do better than us. And that's us not understanding how the government works, and not understanding. Now we know, now the secret is out. Now with this election, we know people be getting money, people be getting government stipends, people be getting help from the government. Now we know that. And it's out,
it's out in the open. Yeah.
Right. Yeah. But I remember having conversations like 5, 6, 7, 10 years ago with people, and people from other races, other countries, and I'm having to educate them on government funding and government help to people, and the government took from us and gave to you. Like, so don't come over here talking about we're lazy, we don't need this, we don't need that. Like, you all are here in America because of the destructive mindsets of the people in your people in your countries. All Black people throughout the African diaspora have destructive mindsets. All of us. Your destruction was so bad that it caused you to have to come over here. Our destruction is bad, but where we going? Where we going? We ain't got nowhere to go. So we got to make it right. We got to stick here and make it right. You all have places to go to escape it. We have nowhere to go, so we have to make it right. I.e., that's how you all are able to be here in the first place. Because like I said earlier, throughout the 50 states, we had to look at ourselves as one and come together and create something that was advantageous for ourselves, which turned out to not just be advantageous for ourselves, but advantageous for Black people throughout the diaspora.
Well, we definitely made it where this is a desired location for people of African descent because of the things that we did and fought for in this particular country, which even inspired independence movements throughout those countries as they fought off colonization. Every one of the African leaders pointed to watching the American freedom fighters and taking their cues from there and their inspiration from there. Here I go again. But I'm gonna go back to something you said a few minutes ago, Joe, about what's happening with all these immigrants that are coming in now and how they're receiving all these stipends, money, and things of that nature. Because I stumbled across this about 12, 13 years ago when I was arguing online with a white supremacist. And they were talking about how their people were coming to America with nothing. They were able to build themselves up. And I started saying, how in the hell could you just come here with nothing and then you end up with an art gallery or a music studio and all those different things? You taught people how to dance, classical music. So I started researching and I learned about tax treaty laws. Because I went through the IRS tax codes, all the entire code. I couldn't find it. But I started learning about tax treaty laws. And tax treaty laws are just what you said. When immigrants come to this particular country, they are offered a stipend. They are given 10 years, typically they average about 10 years tax abatements where they don't have to pay taxes when they come here. They get to access liens removed so that they can operate businesses that we're locked out of, corner stores, bodegas, and so forth. So when you see other groups come here, they are sponsored to come here to America. Right. And that all started based on policies going way back to the end of the Civil War in the Reconstruction era, when all the skilled laborers who were Black left those plantations and started building up other towns. And so that's how they put together, I'm trying to think of the act, but there was an act where they invited all of these different immigrants bring us your hunger, your tired, your huddle masters yearning to be free, the Ellis Island and all that other shit. That was part of it, because they needed to build up a skilled labor class, because American towns were falling apart and they had to pay black laborers and they didn't want to.
Sound familiar, don't it?
Right. So
Borders are.
Class code, peace. So again, I'm great with patterns. Like I get paid to teach patterns and make kids easily recognize them. So patterns, man. Also, what they do is they minimize Africa's role in just being terrible people, whether it's selling and rating us and selling us to white people, or coming over to this country with a disrespectful potty mouth. Like, so what you'll see a lot of Pan-Africanists do is minimize that bad behavior, put a cork in it, and then redirect it and blame either white supremacists or Foundation of Black Americans. And that's the part that really trips me out. It triggers me. I ain't even gonna lie. Okay, so we are, we got a nice little number in here. We are deep in here. Maybe I should have did the, I didn't have enough energy to do the Baba Smalls tonight, but I will do it tomorrow morning for a fact. So let me attempt to reason with these guys and see why they like minimize Africa's role in their bad behavior and then maximize white supremacists or FBA in the place of these Africans. All right, give me a second.
So when you look,
I'm gonna try to get some chips or something. I'm getting a little sleepy. All right.
At what we've been able to build here, and the fact that black people, foundationally black Americans, were able to create the environment that made it possible for other people of color, be it African or Latino, to come into this country and have opportunities in the neighborhoods that we live in. Because you don't get busted into white neighborhoods, you don't get busted into Jewish neighborhoods. Yep. You get set up in our neighborhoods. And so I think there needs to be some understanding. I think there needs to be some more grace. And I think people need to let go of their arrogance. And I think, honestly, too, when we look at this whole dynamic, we need to let go of our cowardice, because it's easier for us to fight each other. Because as you said, Joe, we're scared of what that white man going to do to us.
I'm just saying,
trying to paint Kamala as black.
I'm just saying, like, but like you said, add on what you're saying, man. So we are quick to go against each other, and it's like we understand why we do it, but we just can't help doing it.
Nah, I don't know what you're talking about, bro. When you say we, are you talking about the French? You dig? Who is the we, man? And what are you talking about? See, that we, these are Africans who speak French language, I guess. But what are you talking? So now it's genetically, like, well, what is this guy talking about?
And that's throughout the diaspora, and it's the extent of the impact of white supremacy on the minds of African people.
Oh, yeah. African people, not foundational Black Americans. Thank you.
Globally.
Well,
yeah, you're right. All of them 54 countries. You're right.
So have to take accountability too for what we've allowed to happen.
Right. But that's what I'm saying.
We've allowed everybody to come in and carve a piece of our culture and then denigrate it. But when things are done for those other cultures, they treat those cultures with respect. Right. They have prestige. They're not going to denigrate their cultures. When they're getting rewards, things they reach back to their people. We try to be we of the world. Hey. And that's what we suffer from, because we need to own whatever.
All right. Yeah, these guys are all over the place. Okay. So again, the question I had for you, family, really, and I asked myself the same question. I said, why do Pan-Africanists focus on white supremacy and minimize African complicity? And that's really just narrative framing for unity. Okay. Pan-Africanism emerged as a liberation ideology during colonial and Jim Crow eras, right? It aimed to uh, unify African people globally, they say, in Africa, the Caribbean, and the Americas against European and American racial oppression. Highlighting African complicity can fracture this unity, you feel me? By causing division between Africans and the diasporic blacks. Well, you get it. So you see, that's why I said earlier you couldn't hear me when I went live, and I took the phone. I was talking the phone, the wind. It wasn't going to happen. But Africa is all in, right? They feel like, hey, man, we're all in. We can't afford no pushback, no criticism, no objectivity. We going forward. So I just said that Africa can never hold itself accountable for its wrongs because Africa thinks they are jeopardizing the ability to unify or do something with the diasporic people. It's weird. Anyway, and because of that, the emphasis is on external enemies, not internal faults. So they don't want to look within and fix what they done, you know. They want to focus on external enemies. Okay, so and you'll hear these Pan-Africans, especially the immigrant ones, they'll focus on, they'll have rhetoric about anti-colonial, anti-imperialism, right? So many Pan-Africanists view Africa's problems through the lens of colonialism and neo-colonialism. There's also some words you're going to hear them say a lot. Um, they agree. If Europeans never invaded, looted, and divided Africa, none of this would happen. That's what they would say. None of this would have happened. Okay. Um, this perspective, it de-emphasizes Africa or African agency in the slave trade because it is seen as secondary to Western domination. All right. See, they know if they ever speak on their role in the slave trade, they're gonna see the Western as number one and themselves as number two. Because none of this happens without their involvement. So admitting that African leaders sold us, they understand that can be used to justify or pushback. They get pushbacks towards them. All right. So many of them feel the need to protect the image of Africa. A lot of Pan-Africanists as well, African immigrants and Pan-Africanists. They feel the need to protect the image of Africa. Like white supremacists feel the need to protect the image of white America. That's why they deny a lot of things, a lot of gross things as well. So these Pan-Africanists, they will feel the need to protect the image of Africa as a source of pride and cultural roots, especially for FBAs trying to reclaim identity. So critique of African involvement is often downplayed or reframed as survival under duress. See, the asymmetry of power and technology, you see, Pan-Africanists point out that African societies were not equals in the trade. This is where they go. And they'll say they lacked ocean ships, firearms, and cannons until Europeans traded with them. They lacked global banking systems, and they framed African involvement as being coerced or manipulated within a European design system. Okay. So they kind of mix what they normally do. They mix falsehood with truthhood. I play out the white supremacist playbook. Okay. Let me see. I see some chats. Let me see what's in the chat. Hold on, family. Let me take this damn hoodie off. I'm getting a little sleepy. So I'm gonna say what I got to say about them protecting African identity to preserve this fake African coalition, and then I'm gonna finish the video. Then we're out of here because my fault. Okay. So yes. The vast majority of Africans sold into slavery were captured by other Africans and sold at the coast, family. That's just what you got to just sit on, man. Europeans rarely ventured far inland. That's a fact. During the early trade era, they relied on local middlemen. Those middlemen were Africans. Who were they? Some Africans like Dahomey and Ashanti grew rich from the slave trade and were fully complicit. So while European powers drove the system and should bear the lion's share of moral responsibility, Pan-Africans will not let us forget that. But African collaboration was essential to its operation. They couldn't do it without Africans doing what they needed to do. Anyway.
Programs that we put together, we need to own our institutions, and we need to make people respect those institutions the same way.
What's white supremacy's greatest invention? But another thing that because this is
wait, before they change the subject. Remember that Jamaican author that downplayed her blackness or accepting black as her identity. Here's the thing. In Jamaica, the vast majority of people are African descent because almost everyone looks dark. Dark is not a strong social marker of difference. It's taken for granted. Instead, Jamaicans are often distinguished identity by island nationality, Jamaican, Trinity, Bajan, or by class and culture. She said, she told him, the Jamaican author, she told him that she identifies more as a woman than a black woman because in her context, gender shaped her challenges more than race. In majority black societies, in majority dark societies, racism is not the daily organizing principle. Issues like class, colorism, and gender matter more. So to an FBA person, not centering blackness can sound like denial or pandering to white audiences, right? But to her, how she see it, it was simply that black is so normalized in Jamaica, it's not a label. She has to constantly assert. Okay. Whatever. And I guess everything else I do later.
About what we're talking about is education. We need to know better. We need to understand better. But when we think about, when we think about it, we only think about it in America. And for a long time, we only thought about it as that street thug. But now, even in America, that has expanded to, hey, even the politicians, even somebody running for president, right? Even your mayor, even your pastors, even your parents, right? But wasn't just made in America. That just
that was my fault. I clicked it by mistake.
As that street thug. But now, even in America, but wasn't just made in America. They just didn't use the same terminology. That mindset was created throughout the diaspora. That's why we still fight each other to this day. That's why they were able to not even just play on the tribalism, but even enhance it and make it worse. Because they created a whole bunch of throughout the world.
Well, it's a very sophisticated system of how they've been able to maintain dominance and control. And I give them credit because we always speak from a Christian sort of value system and morality. But when you really understand morality, morality is the first guide, or the first step to morality is self-determination and self-survival, you know. And, you know, when we have so many people of other races and you identify as being the minority in the world and the people that can be easily the most, I just had a crump moment, easily the most dispatched group of people just based on genetics, then morally speaking, survival becomes your priority. And if tearing down the entire world and maintaining dominance over it to make sure that our bloodline is the last one standing, then that's what we'll do. I've often faulted Black people, whether it's here or in Africa or anywhere else, for the fact that we sort of want to take this moral code where we want to do what's considered to be the right thing. This and the other. The right thing is to win. And sometimes you got to play. You got to be willing to do a little more than your enemies do if you want to win. And
they got it.
Okay.
They got us, like you said, they got us broke down to our most basic desire of survival.
Well, what do? They beat us all with missionaries.
Yep.
In Africa and here in America. They beat us all with missionaries, and they had crusades for those who didn't follow the missionaries. So if you didn't believe in Christian, if you didn't believe in this so-called moral Christian value system or whatever, then here come here come the weapons. Here come the, you know.
Also remember, because we talked about this like over a year ago. So they send the missionaries in. Of course, missionary comes in like 20, 30 years before the actual conflict finna happen. Missionaries come in and tell you, hey, I know y'all been worshiping this God forever, but stop all that, because Jesus Christ is better than your God.
Jesus Christ.
Right, it's better than your God, right? And so they spend that time, you know, trying to convert as many people, actually really doing a reconnaissance mission. Then they leave, and when they come back, they with a whole army. And then what's so funny is they after the army destroys the African people, they be writing in their diaries talking about how bad it was and how they so against it now, and they want to wake up and they want to repent, and they don't feel like they can do nothing about it. You help, man, shut up. You help all this stuff happen. You know, your soul is going to hell too, Father Fry or whatever. All right, so but when the armies come in, the armies, they see these two warring tribes. You see one tribe stronger than the other. Hey, we got all these guns, all this ammunition, and we got all these manpower, so we're going to side with the weaker army. We're going to side with the weaker army. We're going to take out the stronger army. Then after we take out the stronger army, we're going to take out the weaker army. Because of course, you know, they think we down with them. And we're just going to repeat, rinse and repeat, go over and take over all this stuff. But we've got to make sure we have them fight against each other, because they must know that they are their enemies. They must not understand that we are their enemies. They must know that they are their enemies. And now it's 2024. Like you said, yeah, 50% of that is their fault. 50% of that is our fault. Because by now you would think that we understand that they are our enemies, but no, we keep fighting ourselves.
No, but I think even with that, we have to understand, right? Like I'm not pulling no punches on this. I think Black people as a culture group truly are very childlike. You can't convince a 7-year-old that their abusive mother is abusing them.
True. Well, that's why we had this abusive relationship with white supremacy.
Yeah, it's our fault when you look at it from the perspective of an adult that walked into a bad situation. But I don't think that's a good analogy for Black people in America. You're talking about a child that was birthed by the trauma. And so we're like maladapted. Like this stuff is normal to us. Like we don't see the problem. The problem is that the world has changed, and all of our adaptations to the fucked up world we existed in are no longer working for us. That's the problem. Honestly, I think if things went backwards a little bit, a lot of us would be more comfortable. We would thrive a lot more. When you look at the way we move, I think the 90s was the golden era for Black people. You know, white people gave us just enough freedom to be comfortable, but they kept us in check. You know, it was happening all over, the Rodney Kings and all that. We got to do something every once in a while, let them niggas get that shit out of their system.
We had legitimate threats to them. They failed.
Right. But they gave us something every once in a while, so we got it out of our system, and the system went right back to work.
It's just white supremacy. Tethers are honest.
And I think nowadays in 2020, the problem we having is
let's just focus on
the same problem that,
ironic,
and I know a lot of people are going to connect this dot, and I don't care, because, the slave owners used to say it with the time the slaves was free. what are these Negroes gonna do with all this freedom?
Yeah, but what about this?
I think black people have answered that question. But
what are we gonna do this with the freedom? Well, Tethers asked the same question, and Tethers they didn't ask that question when they sold us, but they did say this: what are you gonna do with all that money? When we talk about reparations, they say we're just gonna blow it, like it matters to them anyway.
They haven't answered it in a way that is beneficial for us as a whole. A lot of black people are moving in ways that are beneficial, but a lot more of us are not. And so we have to have that conversation about, even in terms of, okay, how do we identify what's beneficial for us as a whole, and how do we not? And should we try to uplift those black people that are in a truly desperate situations that don't see a way out of it? How many resources do we dedicate to uplifting those people? Because all of that then becomes different schools of thought about how we handle our own internal struggles. But I think the very first thing that has to happen is we got to understand we are like, look, Darth Vader said it best. Luke, I am your father. White people are our daddies and our mamas, and they beating us and abusing us. And as painful as that is to hear, to all of the black people saying black men or the black women, we the first on the earth, and we're the first, and we're the originals, and we the this, and we the that, and we the this, and we the that. All that is true genetically, but culturally, that's not true for you.
I literally just basically said that in a video that was put out on Tuesday when I was profiling the Francis Chris Wellington speech about, genetically, yes, white people know genetically that they're not dominant, but they dominate us physically because they can.
Right. And even those types of distinctions require a level of complexity of thought that I'm not sure enough of us. I know a lot of us can, but I'm using that operative word. Enough of us can really understand.
Well, yes. Well, let's think about PC. You already know about this. We've had these conversations so many times where people in the comments are mad because we say that white people are supreme, white people are dominant. No, they're not. We're the first people. We got the most melanin. We are the mothers of the civilization and all these things. So you're right. They're not being able to delineate between genetically dominant and actually physically dominant.
The signs that if we ever get to that place of past this arrested development, because we're arrested in it right now. We're stuck here. We're not moving forward in our development in regards to the maturity level. The first sign will be when we can actually take the details and start piecing them together and not infuse it.
Oh boy. These guys, they swear they cooking
with our emotions. And when you see the emotional responses, then you can't have a rational conversation. Like take this presidential election. I know we're not talking about that, but just take it for whatever. When those of us who say we're not going to just lock in step because, a certain party has a representative that went to an HBCU and became part of the Divine Nine fraternities and sorority groups, until we see some policies that benefit us, all of a sudden we're traitors to the community, because emotionally speaking, people are first of all terrified of the thought of, gloom and doom, orange man taking over. But secondly speaking, and I heard it best by a comedian out of California. Not going to say his name, but he has a podcast. He was crying. Let me say that. Who said?
I almost said it. Miss Bernice. How you gonna bring me into this conversation?
Right. So, but he was saying it from perspective, like, wouldn't it be great if a woman, Supreme Court justice who happens to be a member of Delta Sigma Theta gives, swears in the Bible of Kamala, who has.
Let me get back to that Jamaican author who downplayed her blackness. Like, I guess according to him, remember he said that she well, first of all, we know that Jamaicans often distinguish identity by island nationality, Jamaican, Trini, Bajan, or by class and culture, right? So she says she identifies more as a woman than a black woman because in her context, gender shaped her challenges more than race, like I said earlier. In majority Black societies, racism is not the daily organizing principle. Issues like class, colorism, and gender matter more. Okay, so here's the disconnect. to an FBA not centering blackness can sound like denial or pandering to a white audience, right? But to that woman, it was simply that black is so normalized in his mind in Jamaica. Well, he said her answer was, in Jamaica, it's not a label. She has to constantly assert what I said earlier. Okay, cool. But here's the difference. We're just different, and we use black differently. In the U.S., being black is the central axis of oppression. So that's why I keep reemphasizing nobody's black outside of black Americans. There's a lineage that go to slavery. We're the only black people, and we only been the only black people ever to exist. Everybody else is just dark. And I'm saying that to say this, like nobody used black to call themselves like they call their homeland, like after their homeland. A person from Haiti would say they're Haitian. That's what I mean. Nobody would go around saying I'm black. They would use it as a descriptive term. They'll say I look black or you look black. But they wouldn't go around saying I'm black, not as a descriptor, but I'm black because this is who I am as a person. We're the only people to do that. We're the only people to use black as a standalone ethnonym. Okay? So laws, segregation, slavery, Jim Crow, redlining, all were targeted specifically at people marked as black. So black became not just a descriptor, but a political and ethnic identity. And that's the difference between an ethnonym versus a descriptor. Foundation Black Americans are the only people that's going to use black as an ethnonym. Everybody else is going to use it to describe a color, how they look. Like I said earlier, black for us, black for black Americans. Black operates like Igbo or Mexican. It operates as a national ethnic identity, not just a skin color. It is a collective identity born out of shared struggle and distinct culture. Jamaicans, Nigerians, or Ghanaians primarily identified by nationality or tribe, e.g., Yoruba, Ashanti, Maroon. Okay, only FBAs forged black into a standalone ethnonym because we were stripped of tribe, language, and homeland. Out of forced displacement, black became the new root of identity. So when people purposely use African American in front of Black American, they are taking that identity from us, that shared, they're like destroying black and making us back a lost people, lost from Africa, and we're just lost trying to find our way back to Africa. Why would you understand what I'm saying? Why would you take Black American off and then put African American, insert African American, African American? That's some implant stuff, man. That's some Russian, but that's the real Russian bot stuff. Okay. So a lot of Pan-Africanists, they often emphasize common darkness, blackness across the diaspora to unify against global white supremacy, right? That's their angle. Okay, but they sometimes downplay distinctions like Jamaican versus African versus FBA versus Nigerian. It is to prevent internal conflict. They don't want us to see each other differently so they can push this narrative. I mean, right? They sometimes downplay distinctions. That's what they do. Okay, and then for them, European oppression is the central story. They don't want to focus on the different ways blackness is constructed because it might divide the struggle, like which is no such thing as the struggle. But this was in their crazy heads. So, like I said, Africans, Caribbeans are names, or they are named after their national or tribal origin. They are Yoruba, Jamaican, Ghanaian first, and they're not black in the same way. So that means Black is a uniquely American cultural creation tied to the brutal realities of U.S. slavery and racism. This is why Jamaicans can downplay, not just Jamaicans, I'm saying people who are not FBA but melanated. This is why the diaspora and the continent of Africa can downplay Blackness casually, while FBAs can't. Okay, it's central to our survival and identity. So the author, when she said, "I'm not Black," Black and African isn't interchangeable. So when she was denying her Blackness, she wasn't denying her African roots. She was reflecting her context. So in Jamaica, Black is background noise, not a central identity, right? The Pan-Africanist who was offended had an American racial lens where Blackness is everything. That's the problem. Like, they don't want to know. They don't want to learn us at all. Yeah. So, but tomorrow's live is gonna be lit. Y'all gonna see.
Happens to be an AKA on the birthday of Dr. Martin Luther King, who happens to be Alpha Phi Alpha. Oh my God! I mean, the Greeks.
I just got chills, brother. I just got chills.
He did just get chills.
You know, it's like you know, it's like, take away from all that, we have some policies. You don't need policies, Steve Harvey. We don't need policies. We just need, you get that afterwards. Well, Steve, you met with Donald Trump afterwards. Did we get any policies when you met with him after the election? You don't do that.
J Truth, peace, man. Right, Richard Flat, peace to you. Okay, who's in here acting a fool? You said Will Boney? What's going on in the chat? I just happened to look down. Let me read up, make sure everybody cool. Kia Harris, what's going on? Let me see what people are debating. If y'all debate religion, I don't know why y'all doing that. Okay.
And this is the thing. So when you know, the notion of this, because now we're not even on the rest of the diaspora right now. We're talking about,
because we infighting already. We always infighting. We always find something to infight about in Black America. We always fighting about something.
But it's like, and we'll go back to this, right? It's children. You know, because I'm mad at you or having that. So I'm going to go against my best interest just to serve my emotions. We are childish in that, and I'm not saying. And listen, our African brothers and sisters are childish too. So I'm not, and our Caribbean brothers and sisters are childish too. And our
family, I told you the patterns is to always handle Africa very delicately, and it's to always handle FBAs very strongly, very firmly. It's to always speak up to Africans, and it's always speak down to FBAs. Everybody does that. Even the FBA Pan-Africanists do that.
South American brothers and sisters are childish too. But we're focusing on Black Americans here, right here, Black in America. When we fully understand that, then maybe we can realize that. But there's a level of sophistication, because in our development, we also have to understand we're currently being warred on. So Pat, you asked this question a few years ago. You said, we talk a lot about the chemical warfare that takes place in our drinking water, the foods we eat, the GMO, that important ability to have that will allow your people, what they call it, those awards that don't mean any damn thing. Something she gets.
Yeah. I mean, our dysfunction is just on display for the world as a whole within Black America and throughout the diaspora. Our total dysfunction is happening in front of the world. And
my fault. I was just saying I was reading Bobby's channel, reading his comment. That's all. Peace, Bobby's channel.
Everybody's guilty. Everybody, all Black people. Well, yeah, all groups of Black people. Of course.
Oh boy, here they go, man. Can I hold Africa accountable by Africa itself? Gotta throw in white supremacy. Gotta throw in FBAs. That's sick. That's sad.
Not everybody and within all groups of Black people are participating, but all groups of Black people are participating in this. And all groups of Black people have been participating in this. And yes, not only are Black Americans young, childish groups of Black people, you have other groups of Western Blacks who are young, childish groups of people. And Black people, period, are childish. We're childish. Black people, period, throughout the diaspora are childish. That's why we are still in the positions in the predicament that we are in.
We're childish?
Because
skip this guy.
It's a lot of people literally to go, right, which is sad. But you know, we're gonna talk like we're gonna whoop some. We ain't gonna talk like it.
And even to that, because I think it has to be said, and it's not even on a physical level, because you know, and that shows the immaturity as well. Because you already know there are a lot of Black people gonna hear this and be like, I ain't scared of white people. I whoop a white person.
You might whoop an individual. Yeah,
and that's exactly what I'm saying. It's like, yeah, okay, collectively, you might put on your goon gloves and throw some hands. All right, cool. Hey, okay,
nope.
And that's where we run into the problem. I think if they was to deal with that, then they was live through that. That's why I say, hey, yeah, you scared. Yeah, you scared. And I don't blame you. I'd be scared too.
Whether or not they stay a coward or they actually become a hero. And they say, you know, a brave man dies once, but a coward dies 1,000 times.
Depths.
Yeah, so you know, when we go through this, and we have all put ourselves on the line. Like I said in a couple shows ago, people don't know our story in regards to how we have actually put ourselves in harm's way for the chance that we can be around to liberate the hearts and minds of Black people. But like you were saying, a child doesn't understand that. And you know what a child does understand? When their mother says, wait until your father comes home. And a lot of Black people are terrified.
They are waiting. That's great. They're waiting for the white man to come home because they're waiting on the white man to change his mind and his heart and treat us better. We are waiting. And we're going to be waiting for a long time. Which one going to happen first? White man going to treat us better or Jesus come back? Which one happened first?
I don't know. I mean, ain't they kind of the same thing, though? Because for a lot of y'all.
What about Africans respecting us and treating us better? Which one? Throw them in the pot.
Hey,
well, Caesar Bronya. It's not Caesar Bronya.
You saying it wrong. It's Caesar Borgia. But go ahead.
Hey, but you know what? But all in all, one of the main things I hope you all are getting from this particular video is we've been all Black people throughout the diaspora. We existed in tribalism before white people showed up. Black people on the continent existed in tribalism before white people showed up. White people exploited it, made it worse. White people brought Black people to America. Black people in America, yes, we have tribalism the same, but the difference between us is the people throughout the 50 states had to come together and become one for survival. So with that mind state, we believe that all other groups of Black people should come together, even though, because remember, like Stokely Carmichael said, I believe it was him, but it might have been Dr. John Henry Clark, but all of the ideas of Pan-Africanism, because we talked about it on the Breakdown Friday, all of the ideas of Pan-Africanism were developed outside of the continent. Mm-hmm. So African people who were outside the continent were developing ideas of Pan-Africanism because in the places that you were in outside the continent, you had to come together.
All right. Now, that part right there, he's not totally lying, but he's just going to be confused when I ask him questions on that. That's all. All of them are just going to be confused when I ask them questions about that. So I'm hoping that some people stick to their work, because Dr. Maya, she can't find no time for me to have this discussion. I'm seeing that. I think I might just call that a nothing burger. That's what I think.
But still, we still don't take it the next step and realize that white people are still our common enemy. The white supremacists are still our common enemy.
Oh,
and if we don't work
God.
together as a whole, we will still.
It goes back. I told you, man. Africa is perfect. White devil is who our eyes should be on. Never mind Africa borrowing thoughts and actions of white supremacists. Ignore that. Just focus on white supremacy. FBAs, nah, that's not working, man. That Malcolm X talk, that's gone, man. That's 60 years ago.
Be on bottom because we're fractured and on bottom everywhere we are throughout the world, everywhere. So it's on us. Barbecue with mildew, black folk. Barbecue with mildew. We can continue to choose to fight. You can continue to be uneducated and ill-informed if you want to, because the information is out there. Or you can choose to be better and do better. But hey, either way, white people gonna be here winning. They waiting on us.
Oh my God.
And we waiting on us. We just don't know it because we wish we was white, but we waiting on us too.
Well, I'm waiting on you guys to hold Africa accountable for just one thing. And I'm waiting for you guys to join my panel. And I wrote them, though. I did write them today. So we'll see about that. But anyway, family, it's late, way past. But I appreciate you guys. You guys are definitely heavy in here. And you see, I didn't go to sleep. This is probably the first live where I'm up 12:37 a.m. and I didn't doze off. So I'm getting used to this. Again, it's you guys pulling up. You know what I mean? Liking the video first and foremost. Liking the video is what really, really motivates me to go live so often and stay live so late. It's the likes first and foremost. So I just want to say thank you. Tomorrow I will be going in on this right here. Let me get rid of that. So this is another Pan-Africanist war right here. I said Pan-African. This is another diaspora war that I might find time to look into yet tomorrow. But this is what we'll be talking about tomorrow. Okay. And I think I'm gonna just throw where he called us, disrespected us. And Tariq had to check. I'm talking about Baba Smalls. So I might throw that in there as well, just for some background to know who this guy is. Okay, but he's denying and downplaying Africa's role in the transatlantic slave trade. Okay, so this will be Adult Live. I'm gonna show you not so many. I'm gonna show you there's a pattern with Pan-Africanists. They like to deny. It ain't just Africans. It's Pan-Africanists in America too, where they're non-FBA or FBA. They also too, it's part of the religion. They have to deny Africa's role in the slave trade, and just make white man the boogeyman. Blame it all on the white man. So you're gonna see that when I play these videos. It's short clips. The only long one is gonna be me cooking this guy, but all the short clips are just people or maybe heard before across the airwaves deny Africa's role, like blatantly, in the transatlantic slave trade. It just bugs me out. Like, yeah, wow. So you just said the hell with history. I'm just gonna revise history and save Africa. Okay, so that's gonna be a early morning live, possibly 9:30, 10, because how late I'm going to bed now. So possibly 9:30, 10. I gotta go earlier because I got a meeting at 2 p.m. Okay, so I gotta leave here about 1:15, 1:30. Okay, Yeah, so I'll probably go early. 8. I'm gonna try to do 8. That's the goal. About 8 a.m. tomorrow, we're gonna expose other Pan-Africanists acting like the slave trade never happened. And then we're gonna expose Professor Smalls, Baba Smalls, last. He's supposed to, from his own mouth, he's supposed to be some thorough historian. Like, how the hell you downplaying the transatlantic slave trade? The transatlantic slave trade is wild. Family, love you. Peace. Everybody. Always shine bright. Tomorrow a.m. Please subscribe, like the video if you haven't already. What's that? The Cash App's at the top pinned if you want to donate, whatever. You could do that. Also, that's it, man. See ya.